Good morning, everyone. In this class, we are going to discuss about the introduction to taxonomy because from this class onwards, we are actually trying to understand about the important characteristic features of various orders, and also in some cases, we'll be discussing about the important taxonomic characters of various families within the orders, and also try to understand the important insect pests. So in this class, we will discuss about the taxonomy. As you know very well, like me, for example, I'm called as a Srinivasa Rao. Similarly, the Blessy, ID number 27 is also called as Blessy. These names are given by our parents. So it means for any organism's identity, it has to be named and to be kept in a proper taxonomic hierarchy. So this kind of arrangement is extremely important. This kind of arrangement is extremely important, and it's something like that, describing the characters. So you need to describe the character of a particular individual or the insect or the human, whatever it is, and also place them in a proper hierarchy with a suitable name. Name is extremely important. So all these processes together is called as a taxonomy. Insects, as far as the insects are concerned, they are one of the oldest creatures. They are there on this earth almost like 400 to 500 billion years ago, whereas humans came, their existence is just 1 million years ago. And similarly, we need to understand the importance of taxonomy as far as the insects are concerned because the insects are everywhere. The insects are occupying almost like 70%, like two-thirds of all the organisms existing on the earth. So insects are everywhere. Almost like 70% of the total organisms available on this earth are insect species. And they are very, very old, almost like 500 million ago they came to this earth. Their existence is there based on the historical evidences. So that is the reason the insect taxonomy is extremely important. And similarly, you know very well, the other day you were talking about the locust. So how do you identify? How do you call them? There is a scientific name. And similarly, there are important characters based on which you identify them and also you recognize them that it belongs to so and so family, it belongs to so and so order. So with this background, now we will actually enter into the topic insect taxonomy, and I have few important slides to show you so that you can understand better. As I was explaining, as I was explaining, that the insects came into existence like 500 million years ago, and they are everywhere. They are everywhere, like 70% of the entire animal kingdom is occupied by the insects. Until date, there are almost like 1.3 million species are described, and every year more than 2,000 species are named. It means every year there are more than 2,000 species are added. It means there are more than 2,000 species are named. It means that new things are happening. Most importantly, for anybody's identification, they should be called by the names. It means the wisdom begins by calling the things with their right names. Like we were discussing about the locust, for example, it is called as a Cystosarca gregaria. So that's how the living organisms are called with a suitable name. Everything starts with naming. Everything starts with naming and keeping in a proper places, keeping in a proper taxonomic hierarchy. For example, you see the honeybee picture here. We just called honeybee is a common name. There are umpteen number of honeybee species. So they have a different, very peculiar taxonomic characters. And based on that, or otherwise, you have to give a name. You have to give a scientific name for the insects. So entire taxonomy includes the naming, describing the insect, and giving the names and keeping them in a proper taxonomic hierarchy. It means the first thing you should give a name. You should give a name for any organism and then keep them in a proper taxonomic hierarchy. Let us see who has started giving names as far as the insects are concerned. In the entire world, the beginning of taxonomy started with Aristotle. How? He is the person who tried to distinguish between mandibulate insects and also hastulate insects, winged insects and wingless insects. It means he is trying to describe the characters. He is trying to describe the characters of the insects. Classifying the insects based on the insects which have got a manipulate part, based insects which have got a hastulate or sucking type of part. Similarly, insects with wing, insects without wings. So this type of classification, this type of description is started with Aristotle all back. And that's the reason this gentleman is called as a father of biological classification. And he has actually named some groups like a Coleopterans, Dipterans, and Psyche, which is called as a Lepidoptera. So these are the names given by Aristotle. He is the one who started describing the characters, classifying the insects based on the differences in the characters or closeness of the characters. That is the reason Aristotle is called as a father of biological classification. And there is another gentleman called Carolus van Linnaeus. And in the modern era, he is the one who started giving the names. And he actually coined the term called insecta, the class insecta. And also he coined the term called systematics. And he started publishing a journal called Systema Naturae in various volumes. And for us, the most important point to remember is the 10th edition of Systema Naturae, which is published in 1758. In this 10th edition of the Systema Naturae, he first used the binomial system of the nomenclature. Like for any organism, there are two names. One is the generic name, one is the species name. And he is the person who first started the binomial nomenclature in the 10th edition of the Systema Naturae. And this kind of binomial nomenclature system was used for the both plants and the animals. Very important person. He is the person first started giving two names to any living organism. And that's the reason he is treated as a father of taxonomy and also father of binomial nomenclature. And the naming, is always in Latin, one for the genus, one for the species, and which has been universally accepted by everyone, every scientist. And that is the universal nomenclature system accepted and followed even now. Previously, people are using different names, but after the publication of the 10th edition of Systema Naturae and the concept given by the Carolus van Linnaeus, for every living organism, the binomial nomenclature system is universally followed. And the other person is Fabricius. So he is the student of Carl Linnaeus, and he has named as many as 10,000 species of animals. Being a student of Carl Linnaeus, and he worked very hard and trying to describe the characters of various animals and also giving the names, a binomial names. It means the science of taxonomy is describing the characters based on which you can identification, then giving the names and classifying the organisms based on the characters which differs from each other and also which are closely related. So it is the science of describing, identifying, naming and classifying organisms into groups based on the characters which differ or which share. So taxonomy is a Greek word. Nomos means science and taxis means arrangement. Naming and arranging. Giving the binomial nomenclature and also arranging the organisms based on the characters they closely share or they differ. And this term, the taxonomy, is coined by the Cicondole, who is a professor in France. The second important term which is being used is called as systematics. What is the difference between taxonomy and systematics? Taxonomy we have studied describing the characters, naming and classifying based on the characters they closely related or they differ. As far as the systematics is concerned, an additional feature is also added as far as the systematics. It is actually a taxonomy, but an additional feature of biological diversity or evolutionary relationship also added. It means it is the study of the biological diversity and evolutionary relationship among the organisms. So it's a taxonomy plus phylogeny. And now you can just imagine in the modern scientific era, the phylogeny has gone to a very ultra modern systems in which even now presently RNA, DNA, genetic code, everything is studied. Most important biological features, genetic features are also being studied to document and to see whether they are closely related or differ from each other. Previously, they used to see only the morphological features. In the regular taxonomy, we actually study, we learn to see the morphological features to understand to which order or to which family it belongs based on the morphological characters. But as far as the systematics are concerned, it also includes a lot of biological studies or biochemical studies to document the relations, biological diversity, and also evolutionary relationship among the organisms. And the third terminology what we use is classification. Classification is just arrangement of organisms into groups. Arrangement of organisms into groups. That's it. What is the difference between classification and taxonomy? Taxonomy is describing, identifying, naming, and classifying organisms into groups, whereas the classification is simply focused on placing organisms within the groups. That's the difference. So let us see who is actually naming the organisms. As far as the insects are concerned, you and me can name whether we are eligible to name an insect. Suppose you see an insect, you just don't know the name, and usually what you do, so you will refer to the taxonomy books and finally try to identify the insects. For example, if you find a new one which is not described, which is not named, in that case, who is responsible for the naming of the insects? Who is responsible for the naming of the insects? ICGEDN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. The International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, the office is located in Natural History Museum, London, in the Department of Paleontology. I can name if I find a new insect which is not described by anyone on this earth. But that has to be published, that has to be accepted by the ICGN. Otherwise, people will name and nobody knows, because in one country you name differently, in another country you name differently for the same insects. You get confused. Practically not possible to call them by names. So, the descriptions of the unrecorded species, which are new species, should be based on a single specimen. For example, I found these cockroaches at Bapatla, and I refer to the books. I just assume it's imagination. Of course, I know this is Periplanet Americana, but imagine that this is the cockroach. This is the cockroach you found in Bapatla, and you try to identify in the books, and nobody named this kind of insect based on the characters. Then what do? So I will try to name, I will try to describe the characters, what is the antenna, what is the beak, what is the mouth part, and what is the habitat, how the legs looks like, how the antenna looks like. So based on all the text and the characters, I will try to identify the insects. This is a new one. Nobody in the world, imagine that nobody in the world has seen this kind of insect. So I have some few insects which are new, nobody named, nobody knows. In that case, what I will do, I will take one, I will pick up one insect. I will pick up one insect from all these insects, and the first insect, a first specimen which is picked up for description and naming is called holotype. So holotype is the single specimen based on which the description of the characters is done and the naming of the new species is done. So this is called holotype. For example, the insects which I am picked up is a male. The other sex, the opposite sex of the holotype is called allotype. For example, this is a male, and I will try to check the female. Yes, so the female one is called allotype. The first insect which is picked up for the based on which the description is done, based on which the naming is done, is called holotype. The opposite sex of the holotype is called allotype. And all of the remaining insects I will be preserving for future use, and all the remaining insects are called paratypes. So the naming is done by the ICZN based on the specimens collected by an individual. Of course, the individual can also name, but the names has to be published and accepted by the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature. So let us see for the same insects like honey bee, how it is placed in the biological class hierarchy. So this one is a honey bee, and this honey bee is named as Apisa serena, which is a Indian honey bee. So the binomial name is Apis serena. That's what I was telling. Carl von Linnaeus, on the 10th edition of the Systema Naturae, he has introduced the binomial nomenclature, which has been accepted all over the world. And the binom is one is genera, one is species. For example, in this case, it is named as Apis serena. And all these names are Latin names. And all these names are Latin names. So here you can see I have written as in the italics. So when you write any scientific name, it should be underlined like this, and the first letter of the genera should be always capital. As far as the species is concerned, it is small. If it is handwritten, you have to write like this. You have to underline the generic and species. If it is typed, then you should keep in the italics. It is the binomial nomenclature. In some cases, based on the evolution process, and the trinomial name also is given, the subspecies, Apis serena indica. In all the cases, when you write a scientific name, it should end with the person who has named it. So it is Apis serena indica of Fabricius. Fabricius is the person first named this Indian honeybee as Apis serena indica. The underlying principle of this nomenclature is law of priority. It means first come, first serve. The first published name, the first published name remains in the official records, and that has to be followed by everybody. And subsequent names go as a synonyms. But the most important thing is who has actually named the insect, the organism first. Law of priority is taken as a official name. For example, I am working in India, somebody working in Afghanistan, somebody working in US, somebody working in Britain. And all these four guys have seen the similar kind of cockroaches, which is not described by anybody. And all these four people, they have given different names, different scientific names, and sent to ICG-10 for publication based on the characters they describe. But based on the law of priority, the name, the first person who has given the name, and that name is taken into consideration. In some cases, it can happen that all these four people, based on the characters of the insect, of the same insect found in four continents, four countries, four places, they give the same name sometimes, and that is called as a homonym. You can see the hierarchy here as far as the Apis cerana indica is concerned. I always remember a phrase called King Philip comes out for goodness sake. The taxa: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So that's how the names are given. If you see here, for example, in this case, so it belongs to kingdom Animalia, the phylum Arthropoda, the class Hexapoda or Insecta, order Hymenoptera. Ptera, P-T-E-R-A, Ptera means winged one. Then family Epidae, always remember the name of the insect family is always end with I-D-A-E. Then the genus Apis, species Serena, and subspecies Indica. So that's how the naming is given, and based on the law of priority, the first published name is always considered. The remaining names are considered synonyms. So when you write the scientific name, remember, when you write a scientific name of any organism, it is a binomial name, and the genus name should always start with capital. And if you are writing, it should be underlined separately. But if you are typing, it should be typed as italics. And the scientific name of the insect or any organism should end with the person who has named. In this case, for example, Apis cerana indica fabricius. Fabricius is the person who first gave the name for this honeybee as Apis cerana indica. So, based on the law of priority, the first come, first serve, and the first published name is always considered. And the phrase King Philip comes out for the goodness sake is very important to remember, because it actually gives the idea of the taxa based on the hierarchy, like kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. The species concept. The species concept is very important. The species is the smallest grouping of the organisms which are capable of reproduction and producing the fertile offsprings. That is the first unit It means the organisms of the same species. Organisms of the same species only can mate each other and reproduce and produce the babies. Then genera is another taxa, the next level taxa. It means a group of species having the similar characters or relations as far as the taxonomic characters are concerned. They don't reproduce each other. Only the species, which is the smallest group, can reproduce and produce fertile offsprings. But a group of species having the similar definite characters or the relations are grouped as a genera. And then comes to the family, then comes to the order. So that's how the species concept is developed. The smallest group is called species, and all these together of the various species groups become genera, and then the taxonomic category containing a singular group of genera, but with a common phylogenetic origin are called family. The family showing similar characters are placed in the single order. So these are the important things. These are the important things as far as the today's class is concerned. And we close this class. Then Professor Anil sir will be continuing the class, and again at about 11 o'clock we'll be continuing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Sino, ready?
Yes sir, please carry on sir.